Thank you very much. And thank you for Precious Summit for having us here presenting today, and thank you all for being here today. My name is Dan Symons. I'm the CEO of C3 Metals, and I'll be walking you just quickly at a high level through our story today. Obviously, short presentation times. We don't have time to run through the entire board and management team, but the combined experience is 180 plus years of experience where our team's created billions of dollars of value in the sector. We've raised billions of dollars in the capital markets, both equity and debt, to fund exploration and mine builds. Been involved in billions of dollars of M&A transactions, and been involved in the discovery and delineation of over 35 billion pounds of copper and 50 million ounces of gold. For a company of our size and scale with our liquidity profile, we're sitting around 100 million market cap, Canadian market cap today. We are fairly heavily institutionally held. Between the insiders and institutions of the company, we hold 65%. You can see some of the institutions here. Very tight share structure, just under 100 million shares outstanding. No warrants. We haven't done any financings with warrants since I joined the company 3 years ago. 6.3 million options outstanding, 12 million Canadian in the bank today, which will last us quite a while, as I'll speak to. We have a pretty simple business strategy. We think we're good at identifying early stage copper gold opportunities and building district scale portfolios around that are big enough to attract major companies. And then we do the really unsexy exploration systematically that's really required before drilling, the geologic mapping, geochemical data collection, geophysical data collection. And then after a phase or two of drilling, we get to decision points. We're not out here to mine the market, we're out here to find a mine. So if it doesn't meet our criteria, we would divest of an asset and recycle capital back into the business. On the best case scenario, and what we hope to happen at our Khaleesi project in Peru, if we get into good mineralization right near surface, we'll keep 100% and we'll drill it hard for a couple of years when it's low capital intensity to do so, and add value through resource growth. And then the third thing that we'll do, and we've done it here a couple times, I'll speak to in a moment, is we are open to partnerships when it makes sense. Whether it's a project that has significant potential but it's going to be quite capital intensive, we'll bring in a major company to partner with. Or if there's a partner where there's clear geologic synergies and it makes more sense to put assets together, we'll do that as well. Just a quick look at where, since we've been here last year at the Precious Metals Summit, how we performed versus the GEXJ or the COPEX, the two bigger gold and copper ETFs. Performed extremely well. We've done a lot of de-risking of our projects over the past year, and now we're in a position where we're going to have 3 projects with drills turning on them by the end of this month. You might look at this and say, oh man, I missed this one, but I'm here to tell you why we're just getting going on what we're doing. So if we look high level at our projects, and I'll dig a little bit deeper into each one of these, we have 2 projects active right now in Jamaica. One is an epithermal gold project that we've partnered with a local private Jamaican company, where each of us had 50% of what looked like an epithermal gold system, so there's clear geologic synergies. We partnered with that. We call it the Super Block project. We're actively drilling on that project today. We have a Bellas Gate project in Jamaica. It's 130 square kilometers where we had identified 14 porphyry prospects over an 18-kilometer strike extent, and I'll dig into that a little bit deeper here in a moment. But in February of this year, this project is very, very large, has significant potential, but will be capital intensive when you think about a junior trying to handle the whole porphyry belt. So we brought in Freeport as a partner on this, and Freeport is earning in by spending up to $75 million US to earn 75% of this project, so we're fully carried on that for the time being. And then we have our Khaleesi project in Peru, which we just announced is fully permitted, gained a social license, and we're about to commence our maiden drill program on this new discovery. Never had a drill hole in it. We're going to be the first ones to drill. That's commencing here at the end of this month. So when we think about exploration companies and why investors invest in them, we invest in them for discovery. And we're giving multiple shots at discoveries to our shareholders through the approach we're taking, with multiple irons in the fire at the same time. I'll just give you a quick overview of Jamaica as the island. You can see where we sit here, right within a major fault zone. That's really important to be within that fault zone. When you're outside of that, there's a couple hundred meters of limestone cover. But within that fault zone, you're right down to the underlying volcanic rocks, and you can see the tips of the mineralized intrusives coming up through those. So we acquired 210 square kilometers in exploration licenses, and we're the first mover into Jamaica. A local ultra-high net worth individual saw what we were doing, formed a private company called Geophysics Jamaica Limited. With his connections, he was able to pick up 4,000 square kilometers and 40% of the island and completely surround us. And it didn't make sense for us to be rivals and competitors. So late 2023, I worked really hard to build a relationship with this gentleman. He came in as a shareholder of C3 Metals late 2023. He owns a 5% ownership stake, and he's maintained that stake on future placements. We started talking about where we had geologic synergies, where you see the arrow pointing to Main Ridge there. That was clear that we had synergies, so we put about equal parts of ground together to create a 50-50 JV of what we now call the Superblock project. And then a couple months after that, the first major came into Jamaica, and that was Barrick, which makes sense because it's a very similar geologic setting to the Dominican Republic where they operate Pueblo Viejo. Barrick came in, and they're earning in on everything else that geophysics has up to 80%. So they do surround us. And then just this year, we did the deal with Freeport on 130 square kilometers, where Freeport's coming in to earn up to 75% of the project by investing $75 million US. So it started as little C3 Metals in Jamaica, and people raising their eyebrows saying, Jamaica, really? Are you guys crazy? Now there's two major companies there. I think it speaks a big volume to the size and the potential of what's going on in this new district. When we zoom in on our property, and if we combine the Superblock JV project where we're with Freeport's earning in at Bella's Gate, we had identified 16 porphyry, 40 epithermal, and multiple volcanic red bed prospects over a 30-kilometer strike extent. And it's not like there wasn't copper mining here in the past. It just happened a very long time ago in the 1850s when the British first colonized in Jamaica. They were mining copper and shipping it back to England. But the only modern-day metallic mine outside of the bauxite industry, because the number 2 industry in Jamaica is bauxite mining, it's been going for close to 75 years, is a little small gold mine that closed in 2004 called the Penance Gold Mine. And before we did the deal with geophysics, we didn't have exposure to that. Our concession went up and around it. But by doing that deal, we gained exposure to it. And why we wanted to do that, well, it was small tonnage. The historic grade report of this mine is 20 grams per ton. So if you go there today, the pit's 30 meters deep. We know the average drill depth's only 80 meters deep. There's historic intercepts outside the pit, and we're going to be the first ones going back since 2004, since this mine closed, to do exploration. By putting it together with the ground we had, we've identified a 5-kilometer gold trend with that old Penance mine right in the middle. So over that 5-kilometer trend, we're active right now on a 14-hole, 2,500-meter scout program. We want to get into the right structures and see what we get, and then follow up on that. For the total budget for this, $1 million Canadian this year, of which we fund half as a 50% partner. So it's $500,000 to us. So it's very low capital intensity for potentially high reward here on this project. And then just to the east of that, this is the 130 square kilometers where Freeport's earning in. It's an 18-kilometer strike extent with very continuous copper mineralization in both rock and soil geochemistry. The stars here depict the 14 porphyry prospects we had identified. We had drilled in 2022 and 2023, we had tested 4 of these 14 porphyry prospects, and when we zoom in on that 4-kilometer area, we were getting long, broad hits of 200 to 300 meters, 0.4 copper, 0.2 gold, about 0.5% to 0.6% copper mineralization, copper equivalent. But we can see from the ratio of sulfide minerals, we believe we're very high up in the system. So when we're getting these grades, we're really still in the pyrite shell of the system with ratios of pyrite to chalcopyrite about 5 to 1. And when we're at a couple of our deeper holes that would have been about 700-meter holes, so about 500-meter vertical depth, you can see grades coming up here on some of the holes near the bottom, 0.8 copper, some of them over 1%, 1.4%. And when that happens, when we're going deeper, we're seeing more chalcopyrite, pyrite decreases, and we're getting our first sniffs of bornite. And that told us the core of these systems are deeper. We're going to need deep holes into the system to get into the high-grade zones. And that's why we wanted to bring in a partner. So that's what we're doing with Freeport. Right now, we have a rig active here. We can drill to 500 meters with that rig. We're testing some of these other porphyry prospects that we hadn't yet got to, as well as this, where there's quite a big red bed target, copper red bed target in the Northeast Project area. Concurrent with that, we're running a massive 3D IP geophysical program, because wherever we have a magnetic high, an IP chargeability high, and good soil geochemistry, we're getting good mineralization. But we only had IP over that 4-kilometer area where we were drilling, and it was only reliable to about 300 meters depth. So right now, we're running a massive 96 square kilometer 3D IP survey that can see up to 1,000 meters below surface. We already have the mag data and the geochem data. We should have that wrapped up here in December. and our goal is in January to start drilling 1,000-meter holes, all funded by Freeport, trying to get into the cores of these porphyry systems. So that's what we're doing in Jamaica. I actually think our biggest catalyst for the remainder of 2025 is what we're doing in Peru, where we own this 100%. We've strategically consolidated 310 square kilometers in a very well-known world-class copper producing belt. We're less than 45 kilometers from MMG's Las Bambas mine, less than 45 kilometers from Hudbay Minerals' Constancia mine. You can see Hakara's the development project with First Quantum. You can see BHP in the light blue. These are exploration stage projects now. BHP light blue, Rio Tinto dark blue, Teck in the pink, or I guess we should call it Anglo Teck maybe today. Barrick in the green, Fresnillo in the red. Antipaquet, Glencore is operating further to southeast, and actually, ironically, if we zoomed out on this, the next one down the belt is Freeport Cerro Verde mine, which is their second largest producer after Grasberg. When we zoom in on our property, we first acquired and gained a toehold by acquiring a private company called Latin America's Resource Group in the central eastern project area, where we identified a 28-kilometer iron magnetite skarn belt with some of these skarns containing copper, and there's 13 of these along that belt on the eastern side of the project. To date, we've only systematically drill tested one of those. None of them look like they're going to be terribly big, but the idea was if you put 3 or 4 of them together, they're so close you could have central processing. Our first one gave us a measured and indicated pit-constrained resource. It'd be less than 1-to-1 strip of 52 million tons, 0.5 copper, 0.2 gold. So within that pit is contained metal of 570 million pounds of copper and 326,000 ounces of gold. But what we saw at Khaleesi on the western side as we were expanding our property position, that's really where the focus is today. This looks like a classic porphyry skarn system, consistent with this consistent geologic setting with all the major mines on this belt. All these mines are formed between what you see in the teal is a limestone of the Ferrobamba Formation and the purple the batholith. In this particular area, there's 1.4 kilometers of glacial till cover, and it's been masking everything and concealing it. And if there wasn't a new road built cutting through this area, and our VP exploration driving down the road and seeing copper in some of those rocks, that we would know this is here. And that's why Little Junior was able to get it. We staked around it, and we did a lot of consolidation with individual prospectors, 100 hectares here, 200 hectares there, to put this together. We gained social license from the community, got on the ground, ran a soil geochem program. We get excited about 300 ppm copper in soil when we see big anomalies. On the eastern project side, we have a 1.9 kilometer by up to 650 meter copper in soil anomaly, where the northern half's averaging 650 ppm, so double what gets us excited. Southern zone's averaging 950 ppm, triple gets us excited, and over the skarn area, 1260 ppm. So then we went and ran geophysics, and on the top, what you're seeing here is a view of the magnetics, a bird's eye view. 2 big mag bodies, we believe, on the right, underneath that 950 ppm soil geochem anomaly is the porphyry. We believe on the left is the big skarn, right underneath the 1260 ppm soil anomaly. And then if we take a slice along that black line over the mag and we look at the IP data, you can see where the skarn outcrops. You can see that blue in the middle, that's that glacial till cover. And then you can see where we think the porphyry is on the right-hand side. We look at the resistivity, conductive through the skarn, resistive through the porphyry, exactly what you would expect. So where it's limited outcrop here because of that till cover, but where we do get outcrop, we're getting good grades near surface, and more importantly, we're seeing bornite and chalcopyrite right at surface. So we're going to be the first ones to drill it. We're fully permitted, which takes some time in Peru. The market certainly values that. We're going to put 2 rigs on it, one on the skarn, one on the porphyry, 6,300 meters that we're hoping to knock out by the end of this year. It's starting at the end of this month. So as a little company, we're sitting with 12 million cash. Because of our partnerships, our burn rate's actually quite low, although it will pick up here as we get 2 rigs going at Khaleesi in Peru. And we're going to be drilling on all 3 projects by the end of September. 2 have already kicked off. I think Freeport coming in and Barrick coming into Jamaica validates that jurisdiction. And we know in exploration, the odds are against us, so we're taking multiple shots with multiple projects. And the way we're able to do it is partnering at the right time. And we're pretty excited where we're going with this.
Okay, thank you very much. I don't think we've got enough time unless we've got one question very quickly. There we go. Be quick, sir.
How do you find your projects, and do you plan any new acquisitions?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the Jamaica portfolio was really put together by the chairman of the board, Tony Menini, who's had a long, illustrious career. We can talk about that outside if you like. And then the Peruvian project was our VP Exploration put this together. So we've developed these organically. Yes, we always look at other projects, but we do have a lot on our plate right now, so it's not the top priority today.